Today we're going to talk about fruit, the benefits of fruit, and some of the issues surrounding fruit that seem to become more and more prevalent. We come across more and more people who have eliminated fruit entirely from their diet. Now, this is one of our favorite topics because we love fruit, the variety of fruit, and we appreciate and respect the incredible benefits it has to the human body. It's also a very frustrating topic for us because so many people, like I said, have demonized fruit. And it's not unusual for that to happen. As a society, we have kind of taken sunlight and demonized that. Now, sunlight, the giver of all life, the provider of all life, for which no life can exist, we hide from it, we cover up, we put the sunblocks on our skin to block the sun. Carbs, many people think that carbs need to be eliminated entirely from the human body, but the preferred source of fuel by the body is carbohydrates, however taken from whole foods, not from processed foods. And the last example I'll give for demonization of nutrients, the other one is salt. You know, table salt and sea salt, pink salt, are very, very different. One raises blood pressure and brings with it a host of harmful health issues, whereas the other, naturally occurring salt with over 80 powerful minerals, actually helps regulate blood pressure. So we tend to take very little out of these topics and run with them and eliminate or avoid very healthy nutrients that our body needs. And I believe that fruit has become one of those. So I want to get into it a little bit, and it can be sensitive for people, so we'll tread somewhat lightly, but we really want to confront this head on and talk about all of the potential problems surrounding fruit so that you can maybe have a little bit more simplified information and maybe think about fruit maybe in a little bit of a different way than you have been if you have eliminated it. And if you don't have an issue with fruit and you just don't eat enough, well, let's start right there, because fruits are the most incredible food that we can eat, along with vegetables. They're provided by nature. Fruits are the only food on the planet that are basically pre-digested. They come packed with their own enzymes, with a ton of water. They require little to no breakdown by the body. Now, we've been talking a lot about the importance of digestive energy and how the digestive system requires so much of the body's energy. Fruit requires almost none. So we get all of the nutrients that come with fruit, and basically we can get all of the macronutrients we need from fruit, believe it or not. Fruits are all to some degree packed with protein, and some, like avocados, even have fat, healthy fats. So the beauty of fruit is it's high in water content, so it's low in calories. The beauty of the high water content is not only will that water deliver all the nutrients that we need to where it needs to go in our body, but on the way out, that water is going to take out waste with it. It's going to help clean our bodies from the inside out, which is what needs to happen. And we've been talking about gut health and how to be healthy, first and foremost, we have to repair our guts. Our digestive system. It's gotten jacked from processed foods, from meat and dairy, from antibiotics, from chlorine, from fluoride. It's been a combination of all of this bombardment on our digestive system that over time has weakened it. It has caused imbalances in our gut bacteria, which is important for our immune system and the breakdown and assimilation of food. In many of us, it has caused our guts to actually leak, and leaky gut, which is the behind autoimmune diseases, where food leaks out into our bloodstream before it's been properly processed, and the body sees that as foreign and attacks itself. This is all emanating from the gut. Now, the beauty again of fruit is it's little to no digestion, high water content. It passes through our body very easily. The amount of fructose and glucose which our body is going to run on is delivered seamlessly directly to our cells. Now, fructose will get absorbed and processed by the liver, but the glucose will get absorbed by our cells and used for energy right away. But again, the cleansing ability of fruit, because it also includes a lot of fiber, which fiber again will attach itself to toxins, especially cholesterol, and bring them out of the body, which is again incredibly powerful. So we want to eat fruit during the elimination cycle. We've talked about the circadian rhythms and the elimination cycle of our body, which is occurring most predominantly from 4 a.m. until noon, is when the body's eliminating. It's eliminating what it doesn't need, dead cells, waste material from food that it doesn't need or doesn't find useful or has enough of. This water from the fruit with the fiber is going to help clean all of that out, especially in the morning. So in replacing some of our big heavy breakfasts with a good variety of fruit, preferably raw and or in the form of a juice or a smoothie, is going to fast track the cleansing process of our guts and the obstructions that we all have to some degree in the inside of our intestines. Fruit does that. Fruit contains polyphenols. Polyphenols are what give fruit its bright colors. They are linked to reducing type 2 diabetes. Now, isn't that interesting that fruit can help lower type 2 diabetes when we've associated with the sugar content in fruit as contributing to type 2 diabetes? We'll get to that because it's very important. We want to clear that up a bit. These polyphenols help reduce inflammation in the body and lower the risk of heart disease and obesity. Fruit contains a ton of antioxidants, which are incredibly important for the prevention of cancer because it neutralizes free radicals in the body. And that is the early form and the early seeds of cancer is free radicals and the oxidation that happens. Now, the beauty of fruit is fruit has been around since the beginning of mankind, which is kind of incredible when you think about how we have written off, or many of us have written off fruit in their entirety. This was the food that was made for mankind even before the invention of fire or the discovery of fire. When we could cook anything, fruit and vegetables were available, plants were available. So this was the food designed by nature for human consumption. And when you think about how fruit actually advertises itself and how the human eye, which differs from the eye of most carnivores, is built to see color and to see vivid color and to recognize the difference. That is because we were able to pick out these wonderfully colored advertised fruits, the purples, the blues, the yellows, the reds, the oranges, the bright greens. Our eye was able to pick them out. In addition to that, fruit was made to be sweet. Now the sugar, our body runs on basically sugar, but glucose, fructose, which is the predominant ingredient in fruit. It's a carbohydrate. That's what we run on. And the beauty of the sweetness of the fruit is not only is it enjoyable to eat as a snack, and it is nature's way of luring us back to eat more. And that is the beauty of natural advertising, and fruits have all of that. Now let's get into some of the issues that people have with fruit. Now let's start with those of us who maybe don't have any gastrointestinal issues and we're not experience any kind of blood sugar levels, whether that's diabetes or pre-diabetic. Let's put that aside for now, and we will get to that. Let's just talk about people who say, you know what? Fruit doesn't agree with me. I don't like fruit. It makes me bloated. It makes me gassy. We get that all the time. So let's zero in on that. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. Fruit, for the most part, is very often not consumed properly. What do we mean by that? Remember, we said that fruit, because of its high water nature and its pre-digested nature, passes through our digestive system almost without any need for our body to do anything. No digestive energy required almost at all. 15 to 20, 30 minutes and the fruit is out of our system. Bananas, yes, would be on the longer end of that extreme, but most of the really high water content fruits will pass through in 15 minutes. What happens is when we eat fruit with other cooked food, or we eat it after a meal where our stomach is full and there's a lot in there and the body's got its digestive enzymes trying to deal with this meal, the fruit, it wants to take the easy pass lane, it wants to pass right through. What happens is it gets stuck, it gets caught up with all of the other food in the stomach, and that's not what it's meant to do. So it actually can ferment in our stomach by sitting there too long, and that's why we get the cramping, the bloating, the gas, and the gastrointestinal discomfort. It's not the fruit itself by nature is because we've combined it with other heavy foods or other foods. And it's always best to eat fruit on an empty stomach because it will pass through, and all of the benefits will be absorbed easily in the large intestine. Obstructing it, holding it up in the system, is why we have these uncomfortable symptoms. Now, again, having it early in the morning, we can also get gassy, even if we eat it on an empty stomach. And now that gas is not necessarily a bad thing, and here's why. Because of the detoxing benefits of fruit, right, with the fiber and the water and the cleansing out and the eliminating and the cleaning of the intestinal walls that fruit can do, this is going to bring toxins out and into the system. So that discomfort, that uncomfortability is actually a good thing, because we're releasing these toxins, we're drumming them up and we're flushing them, and that is a good thing. So if we can deal with it and continue to migrate towards eating fruit on an empty stomach in the morning and migrating the rest of our diet to more whole, plant-based, natural, high nutrient dense, water-rich foods, those symptoms will go away over time. But again, it's a good thing. It's a release of gas and toxins that's coming out of the body. So yes, it can be uncomfortable, but if we can punch through it, and we'll get to more of this when we talk about detoxes and cleansing and some of the uncomfortable symptoms that come along with that, then staying with it and taking advantage of these powerful foods and the cleansing ability and the detoxing ability is a massive benefit to our health. So let's move into other issues with fruit that people have. Now, again, fruit on an empty stomach, and we want that fruit. I want to mention one quick thing before I get to the other issues. Organic versus conventional. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that now, but I do want to point out there are certain fruits and vegetables, for that matter, that retain pesticide residue more so than other fruits and vegetables. Some of them don't retain any of the sprayed chemicals. Some of them contain a lot of the pesticide residue, and a lot of those happen to be berries. So the foods we really want to buy organic or local, not sprayed, are berries, because berries they're naked. They get hit and they soak it all in, and that pesticide residue stays with the fruit. Apples, peaches, grapes, cherries, pears. I'll put a link in after this to the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen again, so you can see which fruits and vegetables have a high retention level of pesticides and others that don't. The ones that do have a high retention level, we want to always try to buy organic. For the ones that don't, it's not necessary to pay more for organic, and that's important. But we do want to point that out, because we don't want to be thinking we're getting all the great benefits from fruit when in addition we're getting a lot of harmful chemicals. And even though these chemicals might be in low amounts of any poison is no good. So at least that's our belief. Now, let's get to some of the other issues with fruit. Now, many of us, it's almost close to 100 million Americans, almost 40% of Americans are suffering from or experience either type 2 diabetes or are pre-diabetic. Now that is because we are insulin resistant or becoming insulin resistant. Now what happens with insulin resistance is we eat sugar and insulin is secreted by the pancreas. Insulin's job is to take the sugar and deliver it to the cells. And if the cells are full, to go and store it as fat. That's what insulin does. Now, if insulin takes the sugar to the cell and the cell is full, or what's more common is the cell will not open up to receive the sugar because there's too much fat in the cell, then what happens? That sugar stays in the blood because it can't get into the cells, and it ultimately will get stored as fat. But in the meantime, the body is going to secrete even more insulin, and that is what happens when we have type 2 diabetes. And the reality is getting rid of the fat in our diets, especially the animal fats, and getting them out of our cells will allow this communication within the cell between insulin and the unlocking and the opening up of the hatch for the sugar to enter into will again function properly. Blood sugar levels will come down, and our A1C, our blood sugar levels over time will come down. We will go lower on the scale. Our type 2 diabetes can be alleviated and eliminated, as can the pre-diabetic condition we have. Again, we're always told that it's sugar behind the insulin problem. The insulin resistance is caused by too much fat in the cells, and insulin resistance is the cause of type 2 diabetes. Too much sugar in the blood is a contributing factor, absolutely, and needs to be respected until we bring those blood sugar levels down. But again, how we do that is by getting the fat out of our diet and out of our cells, so that that sugar can get in there, can be used for energy, and therein is how we can start to repair that very, very unfortunate and potentially life-threatening condition. So in the meantime, if you're one of the millions of Americans that have blood sugar issues, yes, you want to watch your sugar intake regardless of where it's from. Now, as you get that blood sugar level down, hopefully, I want to point out that what spikes blood sugar more than almost all fruits is processed foods. Most fruits, believe it or not, are moderate to low on the glycemic index. Now, again, the glycemic index is a measurement of the effect on blood sugar levels within a few hours after eating. Things like French fries and pretzels and those types of cookies, that kind of refined sugar, which often comes with some fat, has glycemic index levels of 80 and above. Now, I believe the only high glycemic fruit is watermelon. Most, and that includes all of your berries, your apples, even dates, are moderate to low on the glycemic index. So think about that. We've been told that, fruit equals sugar equals high on the glycemic index. I have to get rid of it. I can't have any of it. That is simply not the case. We can't eliminate this amazing fruit that was provided for us by nature since the beginning of our existence. We can't just write it off. Now, the same thing goes for gastrointestinal issues, and certain fruits will cause some of the discomforts with our gastrointestinal issues to flare up. Now, again, it's not the fruit, it's the fact that our digestive system or our blood sugar levels have been compromised because of our lifestyle choices and the way we've been eating for years and years and years. So my point here is, by addressing our overall issues, by switching more and more and migrating more and more to live food that came from a live plant, including nuts and seeds and the grains and the healthy pastas, the healthy brown rices, those types of quinoa, amaranth, getting some of those healthier grains in. But most important is the power of fruits and vegetables, which is what our body can run on for long, long periods of time. Getting more of that into our diet and getting more of the fat and the animal fats out of our diet will clean us from the inside out, will allow us to go back and enjoy a lot of the fruits that I'm sure many of us actually miss. I mean, have you had a fruit bowl recently, and like the amazing colors and the flavors and the varying benefits of each and every fruit, along with the water and its ability to cleanse and deliver life-giving water to the body? I mean, it's just incredibly powerful. So again, I know it's a touchy subject. We always want to consult with our doctors. We always want to check our blood sugar levels and other symptoms that we're suffering from. Again, it's gastrointestinal, it's blood sugar levels. But believe us when we say that getting rid of the fat will allow the more receptive absorption of sugar by the cells in the body. So again, insulin resistance and diabetes is not caused primarily by too much sugar. It's caused by too much fat in the cells, and then that excess sugar. Look, the standard American diet has a lot of fat in it, way much more fat than we need. It also has a ton more salt than we need, and it's got too much sugar in the form of processed foods. This is the disaster. It's not one thing. It's the combination of all of that and the wearing down of the body over time. That is the issue. So again, fruit, if you're not experiencing any of these issues, try it. Try the challenges to have healthy fruit in the morning, whether it's a smoothie. Enjoy all the fruit you want, but just do it on an empty stomach and see the benefits and see the healing that will begin to take place and the elimination of toxins. Avoid eating fruit with any other food. It's just not necessary. It needs to pass through quickly. That's how it was designed. And I bet you find you'll be able to enjoy it again, and reap the incredible health benefits of fruit right away. Just, again, don't have it for dessert. Don't have it on a heavy stomach. It's going to cause you issues. It's going to ferment. And if you are experiencing some of the things we talked about, the blood sugar levels, we suggest just trying to cut down on the animal foods and go more plant-based, whole food, and watch those levels plummet. We see it happen all the time in our clients, and it's happened for us as individuals. So that's today's topic, fruit. I'll put in some helpful articles and some more information that you guys can digest later on, and we'll be back tomorrow with more on the gut and some fasting and detoxing and smoothies and juicing. A lot more exciting topics to tackle in the remaining days as they relate to gut health and overall health.